Hey, my name is Haley. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do the Finally Fall book tag. I'm a little bit late on this. I know I've seen loads of videos kind of floating around BookTube and stuff. So I am getting to a bit late, but I just feel like it's a great tag and I love the questions and I love the books that I've put together to answer the questions. So yeah, let's just get right into it. First question is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. When I first heard this question, only one book came to mind, and that is Redwall by Brian Jack. I grew up with this book, and I have reread it multiple times. I used to own every single book in the series, but I gave them to my niece a couple years ago. But then I started rereading them last year, and now I'm regretting giving her those. Anyways, this is about the Abbey of Redwall, which is a like utopia type society of woodland creatures. And it's just about like the world that they've kind of created and the evil forces that try to take that away from them. But the reason I picked this for this question is because Brian Chalk is just like a master at drawing a scene and a setting. And so Redwall is in Mossflower Woods, and he spends a lot of time describing the physical setting of Redwall Abbey, but also just the going-ons of it as well, like the grounds of the Abbey, the food they eat. Honestly, if you're not hungry by the time you finish this book, what's wrong with you? It's just so atmospheric, and I just knew that this is the one I had to choose for this question. Question number 2 is, nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with heavy topics such as loss and grief. For this one, I chose The Honey Bus, a memoir of loss, courage, and a girl saved by bees. I read this one last year, and it was one of my favorite memoirs that I've ever read. It follows the author, her name's Meredith, and when she's really young, her parents get divorced, and her mom takes, I think they're on the East Coast, and her mom takes her and her brother and moves them to Big Sur in California. It's beautiful country, beautiful. It's the picture you see when you type in California coast, basically. Her mom picks her up and moves her and her brother there to live with her parents. And it's about how she deals with the grief of her parents' divorce. Her dad still very much wants to be in their lives, but her mom won't let her. And then the longer they spend in their grandparents' house, the more their mom kind of withdraws into herself and essentially abandons her and her brother. And so she finds herself being raised by her grandparents. Well, her grandpa is a beekeeper, and he keeps bees all around their property in Big Sur, and he harvests honey in an old army bus that he's kind of repurposed, which is the honey bus. And as she's dealing with the grief of her mom abandoning her, of not being able to see her father, and then eventually her father like moves on in life, and just having this really fractured family, she finds solace in the honey bus with her grandfather. She learns the ways of bees, she learns all about them, and that's really how she grows into the person that she becomes. And it's just such a good story. Like, it's a story, but it's like her life, and it's just like, what an amazing opportunity, and what a way to build something beautiful out of something broken, kind of. And it really just moved me. Her grandfather is such a character, and you almost wish that you had known him and that he was your grandfather. Him providing that structure for her while also teaching her his trade, it's just a beautiful relationship. And now currently Meredith, the author, she is an urban beekeeper. So she lives, I believe, in San Francisco, and she is part of an initiative to bring bees back into urban settings and stuff. So I'm very, very interested in bees and insects in general, as you'll see with one of my choices later on. But I just thought this was just such a beautiful story, and it really was a story of relationships rather than someone's life. And I really loved that about it. It is also just a very sad book, but beautiful at the same time. Question number 3 is, fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. And for this one, I chose Extraordinary Insects by Anne, I'm going to say this wrong, I'm so sorry, Sverdrup Thygesen. She's a Scandinavian scientist, and she wrote this book that is all about the insects that populate our world, but more so than that, it's like the insects that you don't even really know about. It's not like ladybugs and bees. It's just like this whole world that is kind of foreign to us. And I learned so much about insects and bugs and just everything in that world. And most importantly, I learned how crucial they are to our own livelihoods and how we really should be valuing them, the work that they do for planet Earth. It's kind of written in a series of snapshots, so it's not just like loads of dense scientific information thrown at you, but she just will tell you a little bit about this insect that does this, and then next you're learning about this, and then she's kind of grouped them around themes also. And I really just learned so much, and I just very much enjoyed reading it. Just a great fun read that introduced me to a lot of things that I did not know. Question number 4 is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. So for this, I chose Almost Adults by Ali Pantany. This is not normally a book I would go for, but I picked it up while browsing at the library one day, and it just completely blew me away. It's about a group of 4 friends who have they're in their late 20s and early 30s, and they've grown up together and they've really come into adulthood together. And it's just about that time in your life where you're still young but you feel like an adult, also like that in between phase of having fun and getting serious, and how your friends are there to support you and go through it with you. And so I kind of cheated on this one a little bit because it's not really a book about a friend group that I want to be part of, because I feel like I am part of a friend group like that. And it very much reminded me of my closest friends and how important they are to my life and like guiding and shaping my life as well. But I chose it because I moved here to the UK from California, and all of my best girlfriends we met while we studied abroad. So I have one that lives really close to me, but I also have one that lives in Berlin and one that lives back in California. And so we're just kind of like scattered to the wind a bit. And so this book really made me yearn for having my friends down the street from me. Like these girls, they all live in the same town. They're all with each other all the time. And just about how they juggle relationships and being there for each other and supporting each other. And it just really made me wish that my friends were just like right here with me all the time. It's a great read. It made me laugh. It made me cry. It made me cringe. It just was really great. I actually ended up buying it for my best friends for Christmas because it reminded me of them so much. So it's just a lovely, lovely story about friendship. So number 5 is the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall colored spines. So I kind of wanted to like have like a spine stack that was multiple fall colors, but it just turned out very orange. But here's my stack. So we have J.D. Salinger, Irvine Welsh, Stephen King, Edward Rutherford, I think it is. And then we have Sweeney Todd in the book Perfume. So there are some creepy books in here. I would love to read all of these. I've read The Catcher in the Rye. But yeah, so these are also all on my like never-ending TBR. Yeah, here's my stack. Question number 6. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein someone is telling a story. So it's been a long time since I've read it, but I have read it multiple times and I just love it so much. And that is Frankenstein by, I totally grabbed Dracula. I'm so sorry. 2 seconds. I guess this kind of fits. So for this one, I chose Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It's the story of Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who creates a creature from like the like parts of dead bodies and brings it to life, and he calls it the creature. And it's all about the creature's like quest for dignity and humanity, and it has loads of like philosophical and existential questions to it, and it is just a great book. The story kind of starts off being told through letters, and then it kind of moves into a narrative told by Victor Frankenstein's point of view. But then Victor comes face to face with the creature that he created, and the creature tells his story as well. So it's not this like linear narrative kind of. It is kind of split up by who's telling their story. When I read this question, I had in particular Victor Frankenstein sitting down with the creature and the creature telling his story as kind of like a book where a story is being told. This is just fantastic, and it's actually so great for like the season right now. And it's just a beautiful book. I've read it many times. I get something new out of it each time. It's a beautiful book. It's great. Question number 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. So for this one, I chose a book that really just like gave me the shivers because it was so creepy, and that is Misery by Stephen King. And I also just have to talk about this cover that I found at a charity shop. This book is brutal. It is creepy. It made me feel almost claustrophobic in a sense because it's very much like a trapped narrative, and it is just insanely creepy, insanely creepy. And I also think that if you enjoy the book, the movie is definitely worth checking out, and it is just as creepy also. But this is probably one of the creepiest Stephen King books I've read for sure, if the creepiest book ever. Question number 8. Days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. So for this, I chose a book that I just thought was one of the coziest, happiest books I've ever read, and that is My Family and Other Animals by Jared Durrell. So I picked this book up after watching the first season of The Durrells, which is a TV show that is based off of these books, and it's all about this family. The mother has been widowed, and they live in, I think, northwest England, and it's just prior to World War II, and she just gets tired of their life, and she just picks them up and moves them to Corfu, which is an island in Greece. And it's all about their life on this island as they are like the only British people to live there, and it's just about their experience there. It's slightly different than the series where Jared Durrell studies animals and plants, and this is just like his childhood on this island in Greece, and just all about the adventures he gets into, the animals that he comes across. It's very meandering and slow, very much like snapshots in time. So it's not like a linear narrative of their time in Corfu, but it's just like this memory that he has, this memory that he has. And all of them kind of surround their physical setting or animals or some adventure he's gotten into. And it's just a good time. It's just a really good time, and I really loved it. The question number 9. Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. So I kind of cheated on this one, and I chose 2. The first is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This tells the story of a post-apocalyptic world. Flu has like decimated Earth. It's knocked out most of civilization, and we're finding these like pockets of people that are popping up around Earth, and it kind of centers around this troupe of actors that go between these communities that have popped up, and they perform Shakespeare plays. But there's a lot more to it than that, and I just remember it being such a beautiful book, and almost more hopeful than scary, especially that it had to do with pandemic and like the end of the world as we know it. I just think that rereading it would be very timely right now. I just thought it was so amazing, but I just can't remember like a lot of what happened. It would be great to get back into it and reread it. The second book I chose is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is actually a trilogy of books all following the main character. Her name is Vazia, and she kind of sees spirits that live around her. She's from like medieval Russia, and this is like right at the time when Christianity is kind of sweeping in, and she very much represents like the old religious order, I guess you could say. And it's just all about her and these spirits that she sees. And I just thought the series was just amazing. I actually think The Bear and the Nightingale is the weakest part of the series, and it just gets better and better as you read. But with winter coming up, I just think this is such an atmospheric read. You really feel like you're like in the wilderness in Russia. Just being able to put yourself in the setting and really kind of see from Vazia's eyes, it's just a beautiful read. It's just so great, and I would love to reread these this winter. Question number 10. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. So this is just always how I read, especially in the winter. I have my fuzzy blanket, I have fuzzy socks, I put my fireplace on, I put my wax burner on, and I put some ambiance or lo-fi music on, and I just really just live in that cozy vibe. I also drink a lot of tea when I'm reading, especially in the evening. So I would add that to the list also. Question number 11. Spread the autumn appreciation and tag other people. So I think I'm like one of the last people to do this book tag. So I actually am not going to tag anybody because I think everybody's already done it except me. But if you are watching and you would like to do it, feel free to do it yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned today or noticed any that stand out to you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And I hope you have some happy reads this spooky season. Bye.